education and industry, and how we can bring these things together for the benefit of all, and particularly the benefit of the students, which is the most important thing. Before we get too deep into this, I want to just ask the panel to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit, Michael, and what your company does. It's not an advert for the company, just a little bit of information.
Hi, I'm Michael from Advance, and so Advance Denim. So we are having a mill in China and also in Vietnam. So we are really pushing sustainable denim in the past 20, 30 years. So I guess that's enough, right, for the introduction. I'm Michael, yeah. So I just said, I'm Michael from Advance. So I'm the CEO of the company.
I'm CORINNA JOYCE. I'm Senior Programme Manager at RMIT here in Vietnam. RMIT has been in Vietnam contributing for 20 years, and we also have a wonderful fashion program. Some students are here today. Welcome, thank you. And I myself am probably a passionate maker.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mitchell VASSIE. Please excuse the photograph behind me. I don't know how it got there. I am a designer, fashion designer, denim designer, and also an educator based here in Hanoi. I teach at the school in Hanoi. And yeah, I'm an advocate for ethical, sustainable practices and a borderline activist on this subject. So, thank you.
I'm DILEEPA MARASINGHEGE. By the way, I'm from Sri Lanka and 24 years in the industry. And Vietnam is 19 years now. So I'm working for the MGF Sourcing global company. So we are working around the 13 countries around the world here. So that's how I am.
Great. So we've got a really good panel, a lot of industry experience, some great educators with us as well, so it should make for a good conversation. I think the first part I want to start with today, so denim industry in Vietnam is on a growth spike. It's a very big employer of people, as companies like Advance and MGF, you're always recruiting, always looking for new people, but our industry is changing all the time as well. So what kind of challenges do you face? DILEEPA, we'll start with you. What kind of challenges do you face when you're making recruitment here in Vietnam? And is there anything that you feel isn't getting covered enough depth at the universities when you're employing people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in the industry today, when we're looking into the really challenge to find the talent people, right? So in the challenge people is the challenging to find, because in the competition is very high. They have a lot of opportunity to walking around the industry, how they retain the talents. That will be the huge challenge today in the denim industry, as I see in the Vietnam. So overall, I do believe the same thing in the globally is a challenge, how we can find the right talents, how we can build the talents in the market, right? So how we can retain them. So that is a huge challenge what I see in the market.
I've found over the last few years that the challenge to good recruitment is education and to build those contacts. And the real kind of secret to retention is education, providing lifelong learning for the people once they're in your company. And it's really the cheapest way, actually, is to educate before and once that people are in the company. Michael, what's it like for Advance? You do a lot of work with me around the region. These challenges aren't limited to Vietnam, they're happening all around the region. And Advance are very advanced at working with universities and schools. So what kind of challenges do you see?
I would say it's not just in Vietnam, that kind of issue, right? It's across all the regions. Because I would say most of the university, when they train the students, they might train like just design, pattern making, and some other things, but they are not really putting lots of effort to train the students with denim sustainable design or denim knowledge, that kind of washing of fabric, things like that. So that is something that everything we have. Once a week we put the student to work for us, and then we have to train them from the beginning. And also because they don't have any idea about denim industry, so that's why sometimes some good students, they might don't want to choose to work for a denim company. That is one of the challenges for us.
So to me, that's not really something about the universities. That's about what the industry should be doing to work with education and provide some of this more tailored programs for the university.
To find ways to engage, like you said, lifelong learning, and find ways that interest students. It's not done with half an hour factory visit, but what can we do? And I know again, Michael's been is involved in design competitions. Really, just get students to be interested in it. It's very hard to train specialists again, especially in denim. I don't think there's many worldwide programs, but yeah, it's about just continuously collaborating and spiking the interest of students in a particular industry such as denim.
I think that's very true. It's my experience as well. I think finding something, the attention span today, as we all know, is getting shorter and shorter. So finding something that can inspire them and get them excited about what we do in this industry, I think is very, very important. Mitchell, how is it for you in your education and the challenges that you see? How could things be improved?
I think really, to what Michael and Corinna have said, I think as educators, all we can do in the short time we have with a student is to lay a strong foundation, a foundation in being curious, to understand what's happening in the industry as it exists today and what they can potentially do in the future. As you said, there are very few denim-specific courses in the world. There are a couple, and so that makes it difficult. Industry kind of interventions throughout the learning process is, to me, essential. Otherwise, we're training students to dream is good, but to have a more specific understand of the expectation from the industry, but also more importantly, to understand how it exists today. I mean, we don't have a great history in the fashion industry or denim industry with regards to ethical practices and sustainability. So things are changing, as I mentioned yesterday, and there are definitely green shoots of change. However, for students, they need to understand where we are today and what they can do to make a positive change for the future. So I think the responsibility lies with us as educators to be brave, to make some changes, to encourage students to ask lots of questions, and also to be professional, to come to class, to be on time, and the basics, so when Michael and DILEEPA are employing graduates, they will have a good understanding of an expectation. However, in my experience, I learned lots of fluff when I was at school. I learned some good things. It set me on a path. However, I really learned when I went into the industry, and that's where you really get the nuts and bolts of your future and career, I think.
So you mentioned sustainability, so I want to move us a little bit onto that as a topic, because I know we all care deeply about sustainability. And when it comes to education, it's now getting taught much more at the schools and the universities, which I think is great. One of the challenges I had in Hong Kong, I had 40 designers in my team in Hong Kong, and we had a lot of, as an American corporation, we had a lot of sustainability goals and positioning and things we needed to adhere to. We realized very early on that at that time, a couple of years ago, it wasn't really getting taught in depth at the schools. So we were having to put kind of programs in place to educate the designers, particularly when they were coming in, but also the merchandisers and the product management and marketing people that went across the board. When you're in one question, sorry, I'm enjoying this one. When you're in a vocational university and you've only got a 3-year course, there's so much that needs teaching, along with all the basics of pattern cutting and sewing and all the things that go with that. But sustainability is now becoming such a big topic and a need. So how do you approach that within the education?
Yeah, I think, of course, it's very difficult. My understanding, most of the educators, teachers, lecturers I speak to, we all have a very similar view on the environment and the people who are affected by this industry, the denim industry, the fashion industry. And it's not easy. I'm actually studying myself a master's degree in sustainable fashion, so it's very specific. I'm learning very little about fashion. I thought I would make some beautiful, ethically made clothes. No, I'm learning about politics. I'm learning about imperialism, colonialism. I'm learning a lot about other things. So ideally, there are more specific courses. However, as educators, in my opinion, maybe Corinna will back me up with this, is I think in many ways our hands are tied. We are answerable to people who make decisions at the top, the owners of the school, the board members, and also very much the parents of students. Many parents want their students to have a business education or a specific way of understanding the learning. So regards to sustainability, I think it's very difficult. And it's a word that we're throwing around a lot as well at the moment. But ideally, I know that I personally, when I'm teaching Introduction to Fashion Design, I always allocate a lot of time to ethics and sustainability. But I would say that there should be more sustainable specific courses, and that should be supported commercially, financially, and by directors of various institutions.
I disagree. I don't think it's difficult at all, and I don't see it as add-on. And one of our wonderful lecturers actually is here today as well. Some of our students, hopefully they agree. We just have it inherently all of what we teach, and we, as I said earlier, we teach a more generous topic of fashion enterprise. We teach it throughout. We teach topics like supply chain from the angle of sustainability, of material technology from the angle of sustainability. It is a relatively unknown concept in the general population in Vietnam, but we teach it inherently from within the school. We're fortunate enough that in our school we have the backing and the drive by senior management to include that in everything that we're doing. We're all passionate. The challenge I see is that as an educator, we kind of trying to catch our breath and understand it ourselves with the advances where industry comes in and help us as well. We do have research, but the lead time is limited. But it just has to be, I don't see the separate courses, but we just have to build all of our curriculum with that in mind. We cannot teach something that is to the detriment of the future of the people we're teaching. So I think it's actually, yes, of course, but it has to come as agreed, and it's hard as a lecturer to struggle through it yourself, and we're just fortunate that we all agree on it and we have it inherent in everything that we do.
I'm with you. I think there's so much change happening within sustainability as well as we learn more, as new technologies come in that can help us, new science-based information. Michael, Advance is one of those companies that leads within the denim industry on sustainability. You do a lot of innovation. How do you then work with the universities and schools to help them understand this extra information that you're creating and dealing with?
I think we would, is that we would go to university to do some seminars and share what we did and also share the, the need from the industry, the actual need from the industry, so to share to the students, and also like an internship. So we really support the students to come to work with us, or even though like introduce the other companies for them to work with, and then they can learn about because you have to work at the mill, right? And then you know how the mill is looking for all the work and even the like sustainable dyeing, finishing, things like that. And also maybe they work for the laundry, really good laundry, for example at Bristol, they have really good sustainable washes. And then once they've learned for like 1 or 2 months, and then they understand what's the actual process. And also it's like seeing the PowerPoint or seeing something from the internet, right? You really looking in the company. So that's what we support to other students.
DILEEPA, MGF, manufacturer for many of the global brands, particularly the American brands, you must be under a lot of pressure, and I think it's good pressure, to do the right thing. How do you deal with that in terms of training inside MGF?
We are like a sourcing company. So we know we have a lot of factories around the world. They continuously having the pressure how to find the talent and how to retain the talent, as I said from the beginning. So we as a company, we are supporting those our factories, mills around the world, find the good talent from the university. So we are trying to train them and in real environment. So a lot of universities, yes, they are creating the good talents out there, but how they can work on the real environment. That is what we are trying to supporting the industry, and especially we are connecting with the universities around the country to understand where those students are coming from. Let's say as an example, like we have the mills of fire in the main cities, everyone is allowed to be in the city anyway. So we try to find out the universities, like connecting with them, where the students are coming from. We try to train them and and introduce to our mills and so that's something we are doing.
Fantastic. I made my first sustainability presentation in 1989, back in my H&M days. In those days, the boss just threw me out the office and said, "David, this is politics, get out my office." I think the whole nature of sustainability has changed within the industry today. The better companies are getting better at this, but there's still so much more to do. And whenever I'm working with young people, I feel their pain, to be honest. I feel very connected to the new generation, and I think we have to find ways to get them into industry, give them the right education and let them become the influencers inside the companies so that we can really drive change. Because, I don't think there's a bigger challenge for any industry today than this particular one. At the same time, we have, again, back to only three years to teach and so many new things happening. We also have this wave of new technology coming into our lives, into our schools, into our companies. I'm thinking ChatGPT, all the different generative programs, but not limited to that. Things like we're working with advanced printing now and laser technology. And I've actually found the students most excited when they see these new technologies that are digital. Because it's like, oh wow, it's not like the old industry after all. There's all these exciting new things that we can do. So, what's it like with your in an education area? How quickly can you respond to all of these new changes and things that are coming? Because I'm sure it's a headache, but at the same time, it's exciting.
It's incredibly exciting, and it is incredibly challenging, depending on what institution you're in, what country you're in, where you are in the world, what kind of financial capabilities the institution has. So of course, we can, read about this. We can watch a PowerPoint on a new way of developing a fabric or a dye technique. So, I mean, these really are the challenges. So, maybe Corinna.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, resources are always, we work slowly, we're an institution, so justifying specialist equipment and technology is difficult, but necessarily this is again where we work very strongly with the industry on work integrated learning, where we bring in the industry, or ideally bring the industry to our solutions, the industry that can see what's happening. It's so important for students to understand and to see that there is things happening and how it's happening, because they might not be exposed to that. Rather than us trying to buy everything in, but I think we also need to start, because it is changing so rapidly, we need to start just implementing and inspiring for design thinking. As soon as the students understand the design thinking and coming up with innovation, technology is given, and they will be able to handle that. They're incredibly apt at adjusting it, incredibly resilient. So I have no worries that if they get going to the internship with Michael, that they might not know it, but they will be better than me next week. It's getting the seed again of the openness and curiosity, saying earlier, of students understanding that they can make an impact, that they can be life changing in the industry, and because the students are hesitant to accept the status quo, they don't want to go into an industry that's but they want to know that they can make a change, and those technologies should just be a given, but we should obviously show examples of how they go.
Can I just add to that as well? I actually agree with everything you said.
Smart man.
I would say something else though. I think, of course, new technology is essential. Industry partnerships, internships, and understanding. And yet, in my case, the students I have will literally look at a program and within moments be experts at it compared to what I would do. But what I would also add to that is I think it's really essential to teach and encourage students to walk before they can run. So they can sit down and work on Code 3D, which is an amazing technology, but they have a limited understanding of pattern cutting. I think, technology is great, but we also need to start from a good foundation before we can embrace all these amazing things that are happening now.
With the whole Code 3D, I was very anti-Code 3D 3 years ago. Now I absolutely love it. I think it's an amazing program which creative people with a lot of curiosity can really create some amazing things. Michael, you run a lot of competitions, design competitions around Asia and Europe. Quite often, Code 3D is featuring in those competitions. How are you doing that, and what does that advantage bring to Advance Denim?
So actually, we are working closely with Code 3D. So we are working. We encourage we're pushing the students to use Code. I'm not, really paid technology, but that's really, as you said, right? So Code is one of the really good programs for the students to learn. And also, I would say most customers say also accept Code. So that's why the whole idea is we want the students to get the design first, and then they make the design, they grow, and then after that they would make the actual garment by they finalize the design by 3D everything. And I would say this is the actual process that is going to move forward in the future, right? Because all the brands is asking less and less sample, because that's the way, right? If you talk to some other big kind of factories, actually they have a whole team to work on the grow, because they can make much less garment. I'm saying they're not saying they're not making any sample garments, but they can reduce maybe 50 to 40% of the sample. That would make a lot of changes. So that we really pushing that to the students to learn that kind of process before they actually getting into the industry.
I want to show you a video of some work that we've been doing in Hong Kong, a design studio that we built in the Hong Kong Design Institute specifically for denim. And so we're going to roll that video now.
The Design Studio is a project we've been working on for about 12 years. The aim is to bring HKDI as a vocational education centre together with industry. The denim has been in use for over 150 years. Some of the beautiful things about denim, the richness of denim, there are no other fabric like it. The fact that it can last so long makes it very sustainable. The Greater Bay Area employs over 250,000 people in the denim industry, and today there's no real education programs focused on denim. So that's part of why we wanted to put this together. It's very difficult for students in Hong Kong because they would need to get their own fabrics from Chinsai Choi or Shinchoi Po, and now we have all these fantastic world-class fabrics for the students to work with. One of the things that you find is that students have a really good understanding of fashion, but these practical skills with denim, which is such a personalised fabric that can have all these different kinds of treatments and finishes to it, they need teaching, and that's what we're going to be doing here.
So that's an example of some of the work we've been doing in Hong Kong over the last 18 months to promote the skill base of denim when it comes to finishing and design and some of those things that are specific for our industry. It's a small studio, it's not a massive one, but we have the advantage, like you do here in Vietnam, of being surrounded by an industry that's there to support and wants to support. I think it's about how do we bring these pieces together. And I think that's my mission in life now, is to bring education and the denim industry together. Is this something that could exist in Vietnam, do you think?
100%, most definitely. I think what would be great if we could all again collaborate, work together, and find a way to make it inclusive, to have such a studio accessible in a central area, not only to one university, but also open to people who may not be fortunate enough to go through universities and bring this, what's important, and bring the material we're working with hands-on to people to understand the industry better and to have it in maybe have a joint space that's not only is for one industry and for one university, but bringing everybody together like a center. I think that would be for me the most favorable option of we can all have one thing where we can work on and get together, make a space, denim, material, R&D.
I see such an opportunity for this kind of activity in a country like Vietnam, which is a growing country with a young average age, with people needing these education and experiential ways of learning. I think having a shared space would be a great way to do it. I think MGF will play a role in that.
Absolutely. Why not, right? So another thing is when we're talking about the industry, like I don't know how university can create the real environment for it. It's going to be like very expensive things. Definitely they have to combine with the factories, like us. We can work together, and especially when working with the denim laboratory also very important, because that is the way day-to-day we need to understand the fabric, how its behavior, kind of things. I think definitely universities need to have that kind of support from the industry to retain.
Mitch, is that something you'd like to work with here in Vietnam?
Yes, it is. I think it would be amazing, and yeah, I think it would be an unbelievable project. I think also I want to mention something Corinna said, that the idea of having an inclusive place for people to work. You know, I read something recently by Andrew Gross, and he said, you know, education shouldn't be a middle class finishing school for the people who can afford it. And if you look at the roots of denim, you know, workers, gold miners, later 60s civil rights movement, if you look at where and what denim stands for, not just the glamorous side, the fun rock and roll side, you know, there are many marginalized and disenfranchised people who can wear this beautiful product. So I think when it comes to education, R&D, understanding where it comes from, and new technology, I think we'll get unbelievable things to do in somewhere like Vietnam. Yeah, because Vietnam is a super long country, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, Saigon, somewhere in the middle I think would be great. Yeah.
I think one of the things that really made this work in Hong Kong is to get a lot of government support and political support to be able to put these programs together, because they see the value of such a big industry and these transferable skills. Yes, it's denim, but these skills are transferable into other industries as well. I really love our denim industry because we have community. I don't know any other industry in fashion that has a community that's willing to share, come together, share with our competitors in many cases, and look for solutions and share solutions. So that's something that makes me very proud about our community, not just here in Asia, but globally. So, and I think today's panel really represents that. You didn't see anybody coming with notes. This was a really good conversation. Thank you for that. I changed some of the questions. I apologize for that. But I think it was a really good talk. Thank you so much, and thank you. We'll open it up for Q&A if there's any questions.
Very, very good discussion. I just want to ask, is there any way where, let's say we are talking about advance disability ratings, is there any way the industry can combine an effort with the students rather than fees? Is there any possibility that at some time in the future we can have a combined effort, the industry can have a combined effort with the students?
I mean, like, of course, yes. We always working with other companies to, you know, doing some collaborations to, and then we work with universities. So I would say yes.
So if you allow me to add in, as my understanding, a lot of companies are doing such kind of programs. So I think someone is knowledgeable, leading, like a proper community, build a proper community and the proper curriculum is there to build a real talent in the industry for us. Important things for us. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Basically, the industry as a common platform, rather than as a individual company, they're coming together and creating something common for the students to take from.
In Hong Kong, we run several programs, which is again sponsored by government in association with the industry, which involves 6 of the world's biggest supply chain companies. Many of them are here today. And there's a lot of willingness to work together, because I think everybody sees the challenge of how we can support education and young people particularly. So it just needs somebody like Sandy to bring all this together.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Dạ alo. Đơn bao nhiêu vậy anh? Dạ anh bỏ vô trong được không anh? Em chuyển khoản cho anh. Dạ cái anh bỏ vô trong, anh chụp hình với lại anh chụp cái số tiền và em chuyển khoản, em đang đi quay chắc tầm 30 phút nữa em gửi anh nha. Chị em đi cầm cái máy quay. Dạ rồi.
cultures because the
Dạ dạ xin Zalo này.
Louis very good watches English, but how about soft skills?
Which kind of, can you be a bit more precise, what kind of soft skills do you think are needed?
Like how can we teach the students to understand different cultures? Because sometimes they know the tech positions, but how about communication? How about understand what the customer requires? Because as designers or service people, we need to be able to translate and not only about language.
Hi. Hi. Good. I think, okay, it's not just about language, but I think communication is everything in what we do. You know, whether it's presenting to your creative director or whether it's presenting to a customer. And I think that is the essential thing. But again, as I mentioned, I think to give a good foundation of ethics, of understanding the industry as a whole, because also the industry is different in different countries. You're from Argentina, you know? So it's a totally different industry there. Products can be the same, can look the same, but the processes are different. And I was thinking about this before we came here. And I was thinking, I think it's really essential that the students I have, I mean, they're all focused on what's happening in California, you know, rather than what's happening bioregionally, what's happening on their doorstep here. They have less respect for their own culture, more respect for TikTok culture in the West. So I think it's really essential for them to understand what is on their doorstep, what they're doing here, and ultimately respect. And then industry-wise, I think, I don't have an answer for you really, but I think it's all about communication and understanding and respect.
I want to add in there, you mentioned communication. One of the biggest challenges I see for young people in education right now, and also actually when they come into the work environment, is their ability to communicate their thoughts and stories. We don't do enough to teach communication skills and storytelling and presentation skills. So that's something I'm quite passionate about and starting to do more around, because I've always felt if we waste an idea, not enough people have good ideas, but it's even worse if there's those good ideas out there that cannot be communicated. So I think the more we can do to help them get their messages over and teach communication skills, the better place we'll all be.
Our students. I won't put you on the spot, but I think this is one thing that we hone in over and over again. How many presentations do we have to do per year? At least, I don't know, every course. So we focus very much on soft skills. Yes, technical skills and hard skills are important, but they come as new into the industry. For us, it's about critical thinking, application skills, communication skills. We've all learned some cool rubrics as well, and one of my colleagues here just concluded the semester with presentations, and it's important to tell stories as research, etc. So I think we're doing quite a good job of prioritizing that, actually probably more so than the technical skills that will come with experience.
I think also lots is having a confidence, and that will come through learning skills, basic foundation communication skills. So having the confidence to communicate and a point of view, I think that's important.
Another question, right?
It's not really a question, it was just a rebound about the soft skills. I do think that one of the richness RMIT offers to the students is how diverse and international the lecturers are. So each course is a different experience. We don't teach necessarily the same way or communicate our stories the same way. So they really get to experience a wide range of all of these soft skills that are not necessarily taught, but that can be mirrored. And I do think that that's a big strength from an international university.
One more question, and then Sandeep's going to make me close it down.
Actually, I have no idea. This is not my question. Now here we are talking about
building talent through the universities and further like fresh blood like I say. Now, do we have any other platform to select talented persons from the industry and develop their skill and give back to the industry? So like sometimes I'm feeling like so I also have met a lot of university students and I'm also seeing like there are some students they have selected this textile industry just because of no any other choice. Right? So meaning like so they want to do this one because they forced to do but they need to do something. Right? So but we have many talented people in the industry already, so we can pick them, we can select the right person and develop them if we have some like nice platform. So I just like to understand.
So you're looking for a cross-industry platform,
Especially in India.
yeah. Is there anything else in the law department? No, I think so. There's some polyester that we have to talk about. DILEEPA, how do you handle this at MGF when it comes to training? Because you have a big organisation.
His side story is my colleague and ask the same question. I can explain to him this library. So yes, absolutely. So I think this thought process is very nice because every let's say about the students when coming to someone is out of the schools and they are not a chance to have that university student education, right? Somehow they are already in the industry. They really love and they are passionate about what they are doing in the industry. How we can help them, like I say, like what Sandeep say, like maybe someone really needing helping, like get together, this kind of supporting the training. I know, like some of the good laundries we are working on that. They have such kind of nice programs they are doing with that. This based on their luck, somehow they will be in the good laundries and good factories. They will be end up. Unluckily, if they are not in the right place, how they go to get those talents. So definitely, as we beginning talking about that, I think we should have a kind of platform to identify those people and help into the industry.
You must have quite an extensive training program inside MGF.
Actually, we do. I go a little bit far away from the conversation because when I came to Vietnam 2005, there is no fit technicians. People does not know how to fit the garments. So that time we have selected the QCs from the factory. So like MGF continues to build those talents to the industry. Today I am very proud to say I have 17 fit technicians in my organization, more than 100 technicians around the country we already built. So this is the same thing about the denim industry. I do believe what we are doing right now, we're building a lot of people, a lot of talents. So I can see like my factories who working with us here, I'm seeing their faces, so they will do with us. So again, the question there is talking about how they getting the real experience in the real environment and build the confidence. Then I think that communication is still everything itself when they get the confidence.
Fantastic. And well, thank you so much. Really interesting panel discussion. A little bit longer than we planned, so again, my apologies, but it was a really good conversation. Thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you.